You thieving bitch! Richard Harrington's voice sliced through the air like a whip. His face twisted in fury as he towered over Emma Johnson in the dimly lit hallway of his sprawling Manhattan mansion. The 62-year-old millionaire, veins bulging in his neck, jabbed a finger inches from her swollen belly, ignoring the way her hands instinctively cradled her 7-month pregnancy. I knew it from the start. People like you always take what's not yours. Where's my wife's diamond necklace? Hand it over now, or I'll have you arrested right here. Emma's breath caught, her dark eyes widening in shock, but she held her ground, back pressed against the cold wall. Her uniform clung to her sweat-dampened skin, the weight of exhaustion from a long day's cleaning pulling at her limbs. Mr. Harrington, I didn't, she started, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. Shut your mouth, Richard barked, cutting her off mid-sentence. He lunged forward, grabbing her worn handbag from the floor and dumping its contents onto the marble tiles. Lip balm, a crumpled tissue, an ultrasound photo fluttering out like a fallen leaf. The other staff members, frozen in the shadows of the adjacent rooms, exchanged horrified glances but dared not intervene. Richard's power loomed absolute in this house, his wealth a shield against any backlash. Look at this mess. You think you can waltz in here, pregnant and desperate, and steal from me? From us? I've seen your kind before, always with the sob stories, the dead husband, the debts piling up. But I won't be fooled. Emma's fists clenched at her sides, nails digging into her palms until they drew tiny crescents of blood. The accusation burned hotter than any physical blow, laced with the unspoken venom of her skin color, her background as a black woman, scraping by in a city that chewed up the vulnerable. She opened her mouth again, words forming on her lips about her loyalty, her endless hours scrubbing floors while fighting morning sickness. Sir, please, I've been here for years. Years of lying, Richard interrupted again, his shout echoing off the high ceilings. He snatched the ultrasound photo from the ground, crumpling it in his fist before tossing it aside. You expect sympathy? For what? Bringing another mouth to feed into my home while you rob me blind? Open your pockets, now. His hands moved toward her, invasive and demanding, brushing against her arm as he patted down her uniform without consent. Emma recoiled, a sharp gasp escaping her lips, her body tensing as if struck. The violation hit deep, stirring memories of past indignities, but she forced herself still, knowing resistance could cost her everything. The staff murmured now, one maid whispering to another, but Richard whirled on them. What are you staring at? Get back to work, or you're next. They scattered like shadows, leaving Emma isolated under his glare. He stepped closer, his breath hot on her face. Admit it. You took the necklace to pawn it off for your little bastard child. People from your neighborhood always do. The words dripped with prejudice, each one a fresh wound, amplifying the class divide that separated his penthouse world from her Brooklyn struggles. Emma's heart pounded, rage simmering beneath her calm facade. She could feel the baby kick in protest, a tiny rebellion against the chaos outside. I swear on my life, I didn't take it, she managed, but Richard's laugh cut her short, a harsh, mocking bark that filled the space. Swear all you want. You're fired. Pack your things and get out before I call the cops. He turned away then, dismissing her like trash, but not before shoving her handbag back into her arms with enough force to make her stagger. Emma caught herself against the wall, breath ragged, tears stinging her eyes but refused to fall. The humiliation coiled tight in her gut, fueling a quiet fire. As Richard stormed off toward his study, slamming the door behind him, Emma gathered her scattered belongings. The crumpled ultrasound photo, a stark reminder of her fragility. But in that moment, something hardened inside her, a resolve that this wouldn't break her. Not yet. Emma straightened her back, the sting of Richard's shove still pulsing through her shoulders, but she refused to let it buckle her. Her dark eyes locked onto his retreating figure, the slammed door vibrating in its frame like a final insult. She knelt slowly, gathering the scattered items. The ultrasound photo now creased and dirtied, a symbol of her unborn child's innocence trampled under his rage. Her hands trembled not from fear, but from a boiling fury she clamped down hard, teeth grinding together until her jaw ached. "You think that's it?" she whispered to herself, voice low and fierce, as if testing the words before unleashing them. The other staff lingered at the edges of the hallway, their whispers slicing through the tension like hidden blades. One maid, Maria, stepped forward hesitantly, her face pale. "Emma, you can't just—" But Emma cut her off with a sharp shake of her head, rising to her feet with deliberate grace, her pregnant belly a defiant shield. She turned toward the door Richard had vanished behind, her voice rising clear and unyielding. "Mr. Harrington!" she called out, the words echoing back at her, demanding he face her one last time. The door creaked open, Richard's silhouette filling the frame, his eyes narrowing in irritation. "What now? Begging for your job?" he snarled, stepping out, arms crossed like barriers. "Save it. You're done here." Emma's lips pressed into a thin line, her fists balling at her sides as she met his gaze without flinching. "No begging," she said, each word clipped and heavy, carrying the weight of years swallowed in silence. "I've cleaned your filth, cooked your meals, raised your house while carrying my child alone. And this is what I get? Accused like a criminal because of how I look, where I come from?" Her voice didn't waver, but inside her heart hammered, the baby's kicks urging her on like a silent ally. Richard huffed, interrupting with a dismissive wave. "Excuses. Always excuses from people like me?" Emma fired back, stepping closer, her presence filling the space he tried to dominate. The staff gasped, but she ignored them, her words tumbling out in a controlled torrent. "Black, poor, pregnant? That's your real crime here, isn't it? Not some necklace. You lost that trust in yourself long ago." She paused, breath steady, letting the accusation hang like a noose. Richard's face flushed red, his mouth opening to retort, but she pressed on, cutting him off this time. "Fire me. Call the cops. But remember this, one day the truth will hit you harder than any lie you believe about me. It'll break you, make you see what real loss feels like." The hallway fell silent, the air thick with unspoken shocks. Richard's eyes flickered, a crack in his armor, quickly masked by a sneer. "Get out," he growled, but his voice lacked its earlier bite, edged with something unsteady. He turned away again, slamming the door once more, the sound weaker now, like an echo of his crumbling certainty. Emma stood there a moment longer, her chest rising and falling in rhythm with her resolve. She smoothed her uniform, picked up her bag, and walked toward the front door, each step deliberate, heels clicking on the marble like judgments. Maria rushed to her side, pressing a small wad of cash into her hand. "For the baby," she murmured. Emma nodded, squeezing her hand in thanks, but her eyes stayed forward, unyielding. Outside, the New York evening chill bit at her skin, the city lights blurring through unshed tears she finally allowed to well up. But she wiped them away fiercely, hailing a cab with a raised hand that didn't shake. In the back seat, heading to her cramped Brooklyn apartment, she placed a palm on her belly, feeling the life stir within. "We'll be okay," she whispered to her child, voice soft but ironclad. The injustice burned, fueling her forward. A quiet storm building. She wouldn't crumble. She'd endure, her silence in that house now a prophecy waiting to unfold. As the cab pulled away from the mansion's glowing facade, Emma glanced back one last time, the structure looming like a cage she'd escaped. But deep down, she knew this wasn't the end. The weight of her words lingered, a seed planted in Richard's mind, ready to sprout regret. Richard's hands slammed against the study door, the echo mocking him as he paced the room, chest heaving with leftover rage. "Damn her," he muttered, fists clenching until his knuckles whitened. The accusation replayed in his mind. Emma's defiant stare, her words slicing deeper than he cared to admit. "The truth will hit you harder than any lie." He shook it off, storming back into the hallway, where her belongings had spilled like evidence of his victory. But victory felt hollow, a knot twisting in his gut he couldn't name. He headed straight for her small room at the end of the servants' quarters, the door creaking open under his forceful push. The space was sparse, a narrow bed, a dresser scarred from years of use, a faint scent of lavender soap hanging in the air. She must have hidden it here, he growled to himself, yanking open drawers with reckless force. Clothes tumbled out, simple blouses, maternity pants folded neatly despite the chaos he'd unleashed. His breath quickened, frustration mounting as he rifled through, fingers brushing against a worn Bible, a faded photo album tucked beneath. Nothing. No necklace. Richard dropped to his knees, peering under the bed, his face inches from the dusty floor. There, glinting in the shadows, the diamond necklace, tangled in a chew toy belonging to his spoiled terrier, Max. The dog must have snatched it from his wife's vanity, dragging it here like a prize. Richard's hand shot out, snatching it up, the cold metal burning against his palm. No, he whispered, sitting back on his heels, the realization crashing over him like a wave. He'd been wrong, dead wrong, based on nothing but his prejudices, her skin, her poverty, her pregnancy. He'd humiliated her, fired her without a shred of proof. His breath hitched, a sharp pain stabbing his chest. He clutched the necklace tighter, diamonds digging into his skin, drawing a thin line of blood. What have I done? The words escaped in a rasp, his voice cracking for the first time in years. Memories flooded in, his climbs from rags to riches, the betrayals that hardened him, turning trust into a luxury he denied others. But Emma, she'd been loyal, scrubbing his home while grieving her husband, never complaining as her belly grew. And he treated her like dirt, invading her space, her dignity, all because she fit his twisted narrative. Richard's eyes stung, vision blurring as he scanned the room again, desperate for distraction. That's when he spotted it, a small frame photo on the nightstand, half hidden by a lamp. He reached for it, fingers trembling. The image showed a young Emma, maybe 5 years old, clutching the hand of a woman with striking features. High cheekbones, warm brown skin, eyes that mirrored his own in an eerie way. The woman smiled, but sorrow etched her face, a faded inscription on the back. With love from your mama, always remember where you came from. Richard's heart skipped. That face, it tugged at buried memories, a fling from his wild youth in the 90s. A black woman named Clara he'd abandoned when ambition called, fearing scandal in his rising world. He dropped the photo as if scalded, backing away until he hit the wall. Impossible, he breathed, but doubt gnawed at him, a seed of unease sprouting fast. Was it a coincidence or something more? The room spun, guilt amplifying every shadow. He'd destroyed Emma's life over a dog's prank, and now this photo haunted him, whispering secrets he wasn't ready to face. Richard buried his face in his hands, shoulders shaking, the first sob tearing free, a raw, guttural sound he hadn't allowed since childhood. The staff's muffled voices drifted from downstairs, pulling him back. He wiped his eyes roughly, stuffing the photo into his pocket, the necklace forgotten in his fist. He couldn't let this stand, not now. Storming out, he grabbed his coat, his mind racing toward redemption he didn't yet understand. But as he descended the stairs, Emma's prophecy echoed louder. The truth was already breaking him, piece by piece, and the hunt for answers had just begun. "Find her, now!" Richard barked into his phone, slamming the device onto the dashboard as his luxury sedan roared out of the driveway, tires screeching against the pavement. The photo from Emma's room burned in his pocket, that familiar face staring back in his mind like an accusation he couldn't shake. Guilt clawed at his throat, raw and unrelenting, fueling the engine as he sped toward Brooklyn, the city lights streaking past in a blur of regret. His fingers gripped the wheel until they ached, his knuckles white, as he replayed her words. The truth will break you. It already had, shattered his certainty, left him chasing shadows of his own making. He dialed the private investigator first, voice clipped and demanding. Emma Johnson, black woman, 28, pregnant, lives in Brooklyn. Fired from my house today. Track her down. Address, phone, everything. I don't care what it costs. The PI grunted agreement, but Richard hung up before hearing more, his foot slamming the accelerator. Traffic horns blared as he weaved through lanes, heart pounding like a war drum. Images flashed, Emma's defiant stance, her hand on her belly, The way he'd invaded her space, calling her a thief based on nothing but his poisoned assumptions. Fool, he hissed at himself, slamming the horn at a slow driver. The mistake gnawed deeper, twisting with the photo's mystery. Clara's eyes in that old picture, the woman he'd discarded decades ago to climb his empire's ladder, fearing her color would stain his rise. The PI called back in minutes, voice efficient. Got her. Crappy apartment on Fulton Street, works odd jobs now. Husband died last year. Car crash. Debts up to her ears. Richard's jaw tightened, a fresh stab of shame hitting as he pictured her alone, swollen with child, scraping by after his outburst. Send the address, he snapped, veering off the highway into Brooklyn's gritty streets. Buildings loomed closer here, graffiti-scarred walls. But he pushed on, ignoring the stares from passers-by as his sleek car stood out like a predator in prey territory. He parked haphazardly, slamming the door and striding toward the rundown building, breath ragged. The lobby reeked of stale smoke, but he charged up the stairs two at a time, muscles burning from the unaccustomed effort. At her door, he pounded hard, fist echoing like thunder. No answer. Emma, he shouted, voice cracking with urgency. It's Harrington. Open up! Silence mocked him, fueling his frenzy. He pounded again, harder, until a neighbor cracked her door, glaring. She's out, working at the community center down the block. Leave her be, you suit! Richard whirled, descending the stairs in a rush, sweat beading on his forehead. The community center, a faded brick building with posters peeling off windows, buzzed with activity inside. He burst through the doors, eyes scanning the room packed with women and kids, laughter clashing with his turmoil. There she was, Emma, handing out sandwiches to a line of hungry faces, her smile warm despite the fatigue etched in her posture. She froze when she saw him, sandwich dropping from her hand, eyes narrowing to slits. What the hell are you doing here? Emma demanded, stepping forward, arms crossing over her belly like armor. The room hushed, eyes turning their way. I was wrong, Richard blurted, voice low but fierce, closing the distance. The necklace. My damn dog took it. Found it under your bed. I accused you without proof. Emma's lips curled in disdain, her fists clenching. And now you track me down like a criminal? Invade my world too? She turned away, but he grabbed her arm gently, too gently for his usual force, pulling her back. Let go, she snapped, yanking free, fire in her eyes. The action sparked a murmur from the crowd, a mother pulling her child closer. Please, Richard pressed, his voice dropping, vulnerability cracking through. I can't undo it, but I need to make it right. Your job back, double pay, whatever you need for the baby. Emma laughed bitterly, short and sharp. You think money fixes this? The humiliation? The way you looked at me, like trash because I'm black, broke, alone? Her words hit like punches, each one landing square on his chest, forcing him to step back. He swallowed hard, the photo heavy in his pocket, but he held back, not ready to unleash that storm. I was blind, prejudiced, but seeing your life here, it slaps me awake. He gestured vaguely at the room, the struggling faces mirroring her fight. A volunteer interrupted, voice tense. Emma, you okay? Want me to call security? She waved him off, staring Richard down. No, let him squirm. Turning back, her voice was steel. You want forgiveness? Earn it. But not here, not now. She pushed past him toward the door, leaving him amid the stairs, heart racing with the chase unfinished. Richard followed, determination hardening his steps. Outside, he caught up as she hailed a cab. Wait, tell me how. I'll do anything. Emma paused, door open, eyes piercing. Start by facing your mess, then maybe we'll talk. She slid in, the cab pulling away, leaving him on the curb, breath heaving, the hunt morphing into something deeper, a quest for absolution he barely understood. But he wouldn't stop. Back in his car, he dialed the PI again. Dig deeper, her background, family, everything. As he drove, the photo's secret tugged harder, pulling him toward truths that could shatter more than guilt. The streets blurred, his resolve sharpening like a blade, ready for the next confrontation. Keep the change, Emma snapped at the cab driver, slamming the door behind her as she stormed into her cramped Brooklyn apartment building, the echo of Richard's pleading voice still ringing in her ears. Her belly ached from the day's turmoil, but she pushed through, climbing the worn stairs with gritted teeth, each step a defiance against the weight pulling her down. The hallway smelled of cooking grease and distant arguments, but she ignored it, fumbling for her keys with hands that shook from suppressed rage. "Earn it," she told him, words that now fueled her, a shield against his sudden remorse. Inside her one-bedroom hole, the door clicked shut, and Emma leaned against it, breath exploding out in a sharp exhale. She kicked off her shoes, feet throbbing from hours on concrete, and sank onto the sagging couch, hand instinctively rubbing her swollen abdomen. The baby kicked back hard, a fierce reminder of her stakes. "We're not breaking, little one," she murmured, voice low and steady, eyes scanning the room, stacks of bills on the table, ultrasound prints taped to the fridge like battle flags. Richard's invasion earlier that day replayed, his fingers on her bag, his words branding her a thief. But here, in her domain, she rebuilt, piece by jagged piece. She rose abruptly, refusing to wallow, and headed to the tiny kitchen, pulling out ingredients for a quick meal. As she chopped vegetables with precise, angry slices, her mind raced, fired, humiliated, yet unbreakable. She'd survived worse, her husband's crash, the debts swallowing her whole, the stares from strangers judging her solo pregnancy. "No time for pity," she hissed, knife flashing down. A knock at the door jolted her, sharp, insistent. She wiped her hands, peering through the peephole. It was Lena, her neighbor, a wiry black woman in her 50s with eyes that missed nothing. "Girl, you look like hell," Lena said as Emma opened the door, pushing past with a covered dish in hand. "Heard about the rich fool from Maria? Brought you stew. Eat before that baby starves you both." Emma's lips twitched into a half smile, tension easing a fraction. "Thanks, Lena, but I'm fine, really." She took the dish, warmth seeping through the foil, but Lena wasn't buying it, crossing her arms like a sentinel. "Fine? After that, man drag you like dirt? Sit down, talk." Lena steered her to the couch, voice brooking no argument. Emma obeyed, the words spilling out in bursts. Richard's accusation, the firing, his sudden chase to the center. "He thinks money fixes it. Like I haven't fought tooth and nail just to breathe." Lena nodded, fury flashing in her eyes. "Men like him, blind to their poison. But you're steel, Emma. Remember last month? You organized that food drive when the shelter ran dry. Fed half the block." She squeezed Emma's hand, grip firm. "Don't let him dim that." Emma's chest tightened, gratitude mixing with resolve. She stood, pacing now, energy surging. "I won't. Tomorrow I'm back at the center, helping the moms group, teaching them resumes, interviews. If I can climb out, so can they." Her voice hardened, fists clenching. The baby kicked again, approving. Lena grinned, sharp and proud. "That's my girl. And if that Harrington shows up again, make him sweat." She rose, hugging Emma fiercely. "Call if you need backup. We're family here." As Lena left, Emma locked the door, turning to her makeshift desk, a folding table piled with notebooks. She flipped one open, scribbling plans for the next community session. Budgeting tips for single parents, legal aid contacts for debts like hers. Her pen flew, anger channeling into action. "He'll see," she whispered, eyes blazing. Richard's face haunted her, the crack in his facade when she walked away. But she shoved it aside, focusing on her world. The real fights, the quiet victories. The phone buzzed, a text from a center volunteer. "Need you tomorrow. New mom in crisis." Emma replied instantly, "I'm there." She moved to the window, staring at the city lights, breath steadying. No gloating in her strength, just raw persistence. She'd help others rise, baby in tow, turning scars into armor. But as she prepared for bed, stripping off her uniform with a disgusted yank, doubt crept in. Richard's pursuit stirred old wounds, questions about her mother's past, the absent father she'd never known. She touched the old photo on her dresser, the one of her and Mama Clara, smiles frozen in time. Who was he, Mama? She muttered, fingers tracing the frame. The resemblance to Richard nagged, unspoken, but she shook it off, climbing into bed. Sleep came fitfully, dreams of confrontation blending with hope. Morning hit hard, alarm blaring at dawn. Emma dressed quickly, simple jeans hugging her belly, and headed out, bag slung over her shoulder. The community center welcomed her with open arms, kids rushing up for hugs. "Miss Emma!" a boy yelled, tugging her hand. She knelt, ignoring the ache, ruffling his hair. "Ready to learn today?" Her smile lit the room, masking the storm inside. Throughout the day, she led workshops, coaching a young mother on job applications, her voice encouraging, hands gesturing emphatically. "You got this. Don't let them define you." The woman nodded, tears brimming, but Emma wiped them away with a firm touch. "Strength, remember?" Lunch brought more, distributing clothes from donations she'd gathered, her laughter ringing as she fitted a toddler in a jacket. "Look at you, sharp as a tack!" A volunteer pulled her aside mid-afternoon, voice hushed. "That rich guy, Harrington, called asking for you. Sounded desperate." Emma's jaw set, pulse quickening. "Tell him I'm busy living." She dove back in, helping a group with English lessons, her corrections gentle but insistent. "Pronounce it strong, like you mean it." By evening, exhaustion hit, but triumph glowed in her chest. She'd touched lives, built bridges in her crumbling world. As she locked up the center, a single mother approached, baby on her hip. "You saved me today, Emma. How do you do it?" Emma hugged her, fierce, one fight at a time. Walking home, resolve hardened further. Richard's world might crash into hers again, but she'd stand tall, unbreakable. The photo's mystery lingered, a quiet pull, but for now her strength roared louder, ready for whatever storm brewed next. "Open the door, Emma, it's me." Richard's fist hammered against the apartment door, the sound booming through the thin walls like a demand he wouldn't retract. His breath came in harsh bursts, sweat trickling down his neck from the chase that led him back here after tailing her from the community center. He'd watched her work, her fierce hugs, her sharp instructions to struggling mothers, and it gutted him further, amplifying the guilt that had driven him through Brooklyn's unforgiving streets. The photo in his pocket felt like lead, Clara's eyes accusing him anew, but he shoved it down, focusing on the confrontation ahead. The door cracked open, Emma's face appearing in the sliver, eyes blazing with fury. "You again? Stalking me now?" She gripped the knob tight, knuckles paling, her pregnant frame blocking the entry like a fortress wall. The scent of stew wafted out, a reminder of the life he'd disrupted. "Let me in," Richard growled, pushing forward, but she held firm, shoulder jamming the door. "We need to talk, now. I saw you at that center. You're helping them. All those people. After what I did?" Emma's laugh sliced sharply, short and venomous. "Saw me? You mean spied? Get out before I call the cops on you for once." She started to slam the door, but his foot wedged in, boots scraping against the frame. "Wait, damn it, listen." Richard's voice cracked, desperation edging in. He leaned closer, face inches from hers through the gap. "I was wrong, blind, prejudiced as hell. The necklace was the dog's fault, but that's no excuse for how I treated you. Like you were nothing because of your skin, your situation. I see it now. Please." Emma's jaw clenched, teeth grinding audibly, her free hand pressing against her belly as the baby shifted in response to the tension. She yanked the door wider, not in welcome, but in challenge. "Fine. Talk. But make it quick. I've got a life to live without your drama." She stepped aside, arms crossed like barriers, as he entered the cramped space, his tall frame making the room feel smaller, more claustrophobic. Richard paced the tiny living area, shoes scuffing the worn carpet, eyes darting to the bills stacked high, the ultrasound prints on the fridge. "I can't erase it. The humiliation, the firing. But I'm offering everything. Your job back, triple pay, medical for the baby, a fund for whatever you need. Name it." His words tumbled out, fists opening in plea, vulnerability cracking his usual steel. Emma stood rigid, back against the kitchen counter, her pulse thundering in her ears. Triple pay? Like buying forgiveness? You think that's enough after invading my space? Calling me a thief in front of everyone? Based on what? My color? My poverty? She advanced a step, finger jabbing toward him. You rich folks always do. Throw money at the mess you make. Richard halted, facing her head on, his face flushing with shame. It's not just money. I'll change. Fire anyone who looks at you sideways. Support the center you run at. Whatever conditions you set. He reached out, hand hovering, but dropped it when she flinched. Conditions? Emma's eyes narrowed, assessing him like prey turned predator. She paused, breath steadying, the fight in her shifting to calculation. All right. First, no pity hires. I earn my keep, same as before. Second, you fund the center. Not a handout, but a real investment. Classes for job training, childcare for single moms like me. Her voice gained strength, each demand to strike back. Third, face your prejudice. Attend a session there. See the world you ignore. And if you slip once, I'm gone. For good. Richard nodded sharply, no hesitation. Done. All of it. I swear. Relief flooded his features, shoulders sagging as if a weight lifted. But Emma's stare held firm, probing deeper. They stood in silence, the air thick, until Emma moved to the couch, sinking with a wince, hand rubbing her side. Sit, she ordered, pointing to a rickety chair. He obeyed, perching awkwardly, the photo nearly slipping from his pocket. As he adjusted, it fell out, landing face up on the floor between them. Emma's breath caught, scooping it up fast. Where'd you get this? Her voice sharpened, fingers tracing her mother's face, Clara's warm smile, the sorrow in her eyes. Your room, Richard admitted, voice low, eyes locking on the image. After you left, I recognized her. Clara, from years ago. The confession hung heavy, his hands trembling as he took the photo back gently. Emma's face paled, then flushed with shock. Recognized? What the hell do you mean? She leaned forward, gripping the couch arm until the fabric strained. Richard swallowed hard, words forcing out. Back in the 90s, I was young, ambitious. We had a thing, short, intense, but I left her. Chose my career over scandal. Feared what people would say about a white tycoon with a black woman. Regret twisted his features, eyes misting. Emma shot up, pacing now, heart slamming. You? My father? The word exploded from her, fists balling. But doubt crept in. She grabbed a drawer, yanking it open, pulling out an old envelope, yellowed with age. Mama left this. A letter. My dad was a rich man in New York who abandoned us. And this. She thrust a small ring at him, a simple gold band with a tiny engraving, identical to one he'd given Clara as a promise he never kept. Richard took it, fingers numb, the metal cold against his skin. This! I gave her this! God, Emma, it's true. His voice broke, knees buckling as he sat back, the ring clutched tight. Tears streaked his face, unbidden, the truth crashing through decades of denial. Emma froze, staring at him, rage mixing with raw pain. You left us. Let Mama die broke, alone? She snatched the ring back, but her hands shook, tears welling despite her fight. Why now, after all this? I didn't know, Richard choked out, standing to face her. But now, family. Let me make it right. For you, the baby. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away, conflicted. Not yet, Emma whispered, voice cracking. The conditions stand. Prove you're worth it. She handed him the letter, the paper crinkling like a bridge forming. Read it, then go. We'll talk tomorrow. Richard nodded, pocketing the letter with the photo, his world upended. As he left, door clicking shut, the ring's weight lingered in his mind, a hook pulling him deeper into secrets long buried. Emma sank back, hand on her belly, the revelation stirring storms ahead, but her resolve burned brighter, ready to demand the full truth. You bastard! How dare you bring that whore spawn into my house? Evelyn Thompson's voice hissed like venom through the phone, her 60-year-old frame rigid in the shadows of the Harrington Mansion's kitchen, where she'd eavesdropped on Richard's late-night call to his lawyer about the DNA test confirming Emma as his daughter. Her white knuckles gripped the receiver, nails digging into the plastic until it creaked, fury boiling over decades of buried secrets. She'd served this family for 30 years, loyal to the bone. But this threatened everything. Her position, her hidden cuts from the estate, her role as the unseen gatekeeper. Richard's voice crackled back, sharp and unyielding. "Watch your mouth, Evelyn. Emma's my blood, proven. She's coming back tomorrow. Deal with it." "Deal with it," Evelyn snarled, slamming a fist on the counter, pots rattling in response. "That black maid you fired? Pregnant with God knows what. I've protected this family from scandals like her mother, Clara, that tramp you bedded and dumped. I made sure she stayed gone, paid her off with your money you never missed." Her breath came in ragged bursts, face twisting in the dim light. Memories surging, forging letters, whispering threats to Clara until she fled. Dying broke in some hospital bed. Richard cut in, voice thundering. "What did you say? You knew about Clara? Paid her off?" Evelyn laughed, cold and cutting. "Knew? I orchestrated it. You were too busy building your empire to notice. She came sniffing around once, pregnant with your mistake. I handled it, threatened exposure, wired cash to shut her up. Protect your precious reputation, and now you welcome the daughter? Over my dead body." She paced the kitchen, heels clicking like accusations, her loyalty morphing into betrayal's blade. "Handled it?" Richard roared, the line crackling with his rage. "You meddled in my life? If you touched Clara—" "Touched?" Evelyn interrupted, voice dripping scorn. "I saved you. From ruin. From mixing with her kind. But if you bring Emma here, I'll expose it all. Letters, payments, your abandonment. The board will eat you alive." Her threat hung heavy, fists clenching as she imagined the fallout. Richard disgraced, her stepping in as the faithful one, perhaps claiming a slice of the pie she'd guarded so jealously. The call ended with Richard's slam of the receiver, but Evelyn's mind raced, plotting. She stormed upstairs, key in hand, unlocking the hidden safe in her room. A trove of secrets, old bank stubs to Clara, forged docs bearing the affair. "He won't ruin me," she muttered, shredding a photo of young Richard with Clara, pieces fluttering like confetti of hate. Her heart pounded, a mix of fear and defiance, knowing Emma's return spelled war. Morning broke with Evelyn at the door, face a mask of false civility as Emma arrived, Richard at her side, his arm protective around her shoulders. "Welcome back, Miss Johnson," Evelyn said, voice syrupy sweet, but her eyes shot daggers, lips curling slightly. Emma stiffened, sensing the chill, her hand on her belly tightening. "Emma Harrington now," Richard corrected, voice firm, guiding her inside. "Family." Evelyn's smile cracked, a twitch betraying her. "Of course, sir." But as they passed, she leaned close to Emma, whispering harshly, "Don't get comfortable. Blood or not, you don't belong." Emma recoiled, breath catching, but Richard pulled her away, oblivious. In the hall, Evelyn watched them, fury simmering. She followed discreetly as Richard showed Emma to a guest room, upgraded from servants' quarters. His voice soft with amends. "This is yours now. Rest. We'll sort the legal tomorrow." Emma nodded, wary but touched, sitting on the bed with a sigh. Evelyn lingered outside, ear pressed to the door, hearing their murmurs about the letter, Clara's death. "Suspicious," Emma said. "Mama's accident. Too clean." Richard agreed, voice grave. "We'll investigate." Evelyn's pulse spiked, sweat beating. They knew too much. She retreated to her quarters, dialing a shady contact, a former PI she'd used for dirt on rivals. "Dig on Clara Johnson's death. Make it look natural if questions arise. And watch the girl, Emma. Any move. Report." Her voice was steel, hanging up with a snap. By afternoon, tension coiled tighter. At lunch, Evelyn served with forced grace, but her hands shook while pouring coffee, spilling a drop on Emma's saucer. "Oops," she said, smirking. Emma's eyes met hers, challenge accepted. "Careful," Emma warned, voice low. "Accidents happen." Richard noticed, frowning. Evelyn, take the day. You're off. Off? Evelyn snapped, composure slipping. After all I've done? She whirled away, storming to the kitchen, smashing a plate in rage, shards flying. They'll pay, she hissed, plotting deeper, perhaps tamper with Emma's food or leak the scandal to the press. Evening brought escalation. Evelyn cornered Emma alone in the garden, grabbing her arm hard. Leave, or I'll make sure that baby never sees light. Emma yanked free, fire in her eyes. Touch me again, and you're done. She shoved past, but Evelyn's laugh followed, chilling. Richard found Emma shaken, demanding answers. Evelyn, she threatened us. His face hardened, calling Evelyn to the study. Explain yourself. Evelyn entered, chin high but inside quaking. She's poison, sir, like her mother. I protected you, drove Clara away, ensured her accident stayed quiet. The confession slipped, fueled by panic. Richard's fist slammed the desk. Accident? You killed her. Evelyn backpedaled, eyes wide. No, I pressured her. She broke. But the damage hit, Richard's rage exploding. Out! Now! She fled the room, but not the fight, grabbing her safe's contents on the way out. In her car, engine roaring, she vowed revenge. They'll regret this. The mansion shrank in her mirror, but her threat loomed larger, a shadow ready to engulf them all. Dig up everything on Evelyn, now! Richard snarled into the phone, his free hand slamming the study desk, the impact rattling the framed photos of his empire that now felt like lies. Emma stood beside him, her pregnant belly heaving with each sharp breath, eyes locked on the door Evelyn had fled through moments ago. The woman's partial confession. I pressured her, echoing like a gunshot in their minds. Richard's face burned red, veins throbbing as he paced, the letter from Clara clutched in his fist, its words about abandonment fueling his rage. She admitted meddling with your mother. If she hurt Clara, Emma cut in, voice steel despite the tremor in her hands. Hurt? She said accident? Mama's death wasn't natural. We prove it. She snatched her phone, dialing the PI Richard had used before, her fingers flying over the screen. Start with hospital records. Clara Johnson died in 2005 in New York General Hospital. Suspicious fall. Push for autopsy details. The PI's voice crackled back, calm but urgent. On it, but if it's covered up, we'll need more. Witnesses, bank trails. Richard nodded fiercely, though unseen, grabbing his coat. Meet us at the old apartment. Clara's last address. Bring files. He hung up, turning to Emma, his newfound paternal fire clashing with guilt. We're not waiting. Drive me there. Emma hesitated, hand on her belly, the baby kicking hard as if sensing the storm. You? In my world again? But resolve hardened her jaw. She grabbed keys, leading him out to her beat-up sedan, engine sputtering to life. As they sped toward Brooklyn, traffic horns blaring, Emma grilled him. Tell me everything about Mama, no lies. Richard gripped the dash, words spilling raw. Clara was fire, smart, beautiful. We met at a bar, 95. I was climbing. She was waitressing. Loved her laugh, her fight. But when she hinted at pregnancy, I bolted, cowered, told her it wouldn't work. My circles wouldn't accept us. Emma's knuckles whitened on the wheel, tears stinging but unshed. Accept? Because she was black? You left us to rot. Her foot slammed the accelerator, the car lurching forward, cutting off a truck. Richard flinched, shame twisting his gut. Yes, prejudiced fool. But Evelyn, she knew? Handled payoffs? The question hung, propelling them faster. At Clara's old building, a crumbling walk-up reeking of neglect, they met the PI, a grizzled man named Vance with a folder thick as a brick. Records pulled. Clara's death. Accidental overdose. Pills. But no history of depression. Neighbors said she was scared weeks before, mentioned a white lady threatening her. Vance thrust photos. Clara's body report, bruises dismissed as falls. Emma snatched the folder, flipping pages with furious swipes, her breath hitching at a grainy image of her mother. Threatening? Evelyn! She stormed inside, pounding on a door. Old neighbor Mrs. Hayes, wrinkled but sharp-eyed. Remember my mama? Clara. Who visited her? Mrs. Hayes squinted, door chained. Yeah, girl. White woman, fancy clothes. Argued loudly. Stay away from him or else. Clara cried after, packed her bags but never left. Then, dead. Emma's fist balled, turning to Richard. Hear that? Your loyal housekeeper. Richard's face paled, punching the wall, skin splitting. Bastard. Vance. Trace payments. Evelyn's accounts. They piled back into the car, Vance following in his, heading to a dingy cafe for privacy. Over bitter coffee, Vance hacked in, laptop keys clacking. Wire transfers 98 to 05 from Harrington dummy account, Evelyn's signature. The last day before Clara's death. Cover up? Emma leaned in, eyes blazing. More. Mama's journal. I have it home. They raced to her apartment, Richard's luxury car abandoned for speed. Inside, she rifled drawers, pulling a tattered notebook. Here, entries. He came again. Demands silence. Says R doesn't want us. Threatens job, home. She thrust it at Richard, who read aloud, voice cracking. If I fight, she'll ruin me. For Emma's sake, stay quiet. Tears broke then, Richard's shoulders shaking as he sank to the floor. She protected you. From me. Emma knelt beside him, conflicted touch on his arm. We expose her. Now. Vance nodded, photographing pages. Cross-reference with the bank. And this. Evelyn's old address book. Snagged from public records. Contacts. Shady Doc who signed Clara's death cert. The hunt intensified. They drove to the Doc's retirement home in Queens, bursting in unannounced. The old man, Dr. Hale, trembled in his armchair. Who? What? Richard loomed over him. Clara Johnson, you faked her autopsy. Evelyn paid you. Hale's eyes darted, sweat beading. No, She said accidentally. Pills but bruises. Looked like a struggle. Emma pressed, voice knife sharp. Struggle? Murder? Hale cracked, whispering. Evelyn visited Clara that night. Argued. I covered. Forged overdose for cash. Proof hit like a punch. Emma recorded it covertly, fist pumping. Got him. But Hale grabbed her wrist. She's dangerous. Has allies. Old Harrington rivals she blackmailed. Richard yanked him off, snarling. Names. Hale spilled. A list, including a crooked lawyer who'd handled payoffs. Back in the car, adrenaline surging, they pieced it. Evelyn's web. Decades manipulating Richard's secrets for power. Eliminating threats like Clara to secure her spot. Emma's phone buzzed, anonymous text. Stop digging or the baby pays. She gasped, showing Richard. Her! Fear flashed, but fury overrode. We end this, Vance suggested next. Raid Evelyn's old storage unit, tip from Hale. They broke in under dusk. Lock-picked, swift. Boxes spilling secrets. Letters from Clara begging for help. Shredded but pieced. Bank stubs. A vial labeled sedative, same as Clara's overdose. Emma held the vial, shaking. Poison. She killed Mama. Richard hugged her fiercely, his first real embrace, his tears mixing with hers. For you, for us, we take her down. Vance bagged evidence. Cops next, or confront? Emma wiped her face. Resolve iron. Confront, but smart. They drove to Evelyn's last known hideout, a seedy motel, planning the trap. En route, more clues. Vance's call revealed Evelyn's email hacks, messages plotting to leak Richard's affair now, destroy his company. At the motel, they burst in. The door kicked open. Empty, but a laptop left running. Files on Emma's life, photos of her pregnant, marked leverage. Richard smashed a lamp in rage. She's one step ahead. Emma found a note. You think you know. Deeper rot awaits. The words chilled but sparked deeper dig. They hacked the laptop on site. Passwords cracked. Emails to a mystery contact. Handle the daughter like the mother. Proof of conspiracy. Emma's breath caught. Not alone. Accomplice. Richard's phone rang. Lawyer. DNA public soon, but Evelyn's suing for wrongful termination. Claims proof of your abandonment. Pressure mounted, Emma clutching her belly. We fight back. all evidence to the police. As they left, tires screeching, Vance uncovered the accomplice. Richard's distant cousin, jealous of the inheritance allied with Evelyn. The web widened, pulling them toward confrontation. But Emma paused, hand on Richard's. Family now. We win together. His nod sealed it. The investigation barreling toward revelation. Dangers lurking in every shadow. She's here! Move! Richard barked, shoving open the motel room door with his shoulder, the wood splintering under the force as he charged in. Emma right behind him, her hand protectively over her belly, breath coming in quick, determined gasps. The laptop screen glowed accusingly on the bed, files open to damning emails. Eliminate the threat like before. Poison if needed. Evelyn sat in the corner chair, legs crossed, a smug grin cracking her face as she snapped the device shut. Took you long enough, she sneered, rising slowly, eyes flicking to Emma's swollen form with pure venom. Emma lunged forward, grabbing Evelyn's collar, yanking her close. You murdered my mother, admit it! Her voice cracked like thunder, fingers digging in, the vial from the storage unit clutched in her other hand, label glaring, sedative, the same that killed Clara. Evelyn laughed, sharp and unyielding, wrenching free with a shove that sent Emma staggering back into Richard's arms. Murder? Darling, it was mercy. Clara was a liability, pregnant with his bastard, demanding money, threatening to expose the great Richard Harrington. She paced, heels clicking, gesturing wildly. I protected him, forged the letters, wired the cash, and when she wouldn't shut up, yes, I visited that night, slipped the pills in her tea, made it look like suicide. Bruises? From her fall, resisting me. The confession spilled like acid, her eyes gleaming with twisted pride. Richard's fist connected with the wall, plaster crumbling, blood streaking his knuckles. You monster! All these years in my house, poisoning my life. He advanced, towering over her, voice a growl. For what? Power? Money? Evelyn's smirk widened, backing toward the window but holding ground. Money? Oh, please, it was loyalty to the family name you were too weak to defend. Your cousin Harold helped. Jealous worm, wanted your inheritance. We plotted together. I'd handle the dirty work. He'd funnel funds through his law firm. Clara was first. Now this one? She jabbed a finger at Emma. And her brat. Leak the affair, tank your stocks, claim the scraps. Emma's breath hitched, piecing it fast. The emails, the accomplice. Harold? Your cousin? She turned to Richard, eyes wide, but he nodded grimly, face ashen. Disowned him years ago, greedy bastard. But this conspiracy? Evelyn nodded, triumphant. Decades. I skimmed your accounts, built a nest egg. Clara found out, snooping after you dumped her. Threatened to tell, so I ended it. Overdose, easy. Dr. Hale signed off for a cut. She pulled a hidden recorder from her pocket, clicking it on. And now, with this tape of your break-in, I'll bury you both. Assault, trespassing. Richard snatched the recorder, crushing it under his boot, shards flying. Not today. He dialed Vance on speaker, voice booming. Got it all? Hidden cam? Vance's voice crackled. Crystal, confession recorded, streaming to cops now. Evelyn's face drained of color, lunging for the door. But Emma blocked her, shoving back hard. No escape. For Mama. Police sirens wailed outside, lights flashing through the curtains. Evelyn slumped against the wall, defeated, snarl twisting her lips. You think this ends it? Harold knows more. Your whole empire built on lies. He'll finish what I started. Doors burst open, officers flooding in, cuffing Evelyn as she spat curses. He abandoned you both. Weak man. Richard shielded Emma, his arm around her tight, paternal instinct flaring. As they hauled Evelyn away, she twisted back. Check the safe. Harold has copies. The real poison? Your bloodline scandal. Outside under the motel's harsh lights, Emma leaned on Richard, tears streaming. It's true, all of it. Murder, cover-up, your family rotting from inside. He held her close, voice breaking. And you're part of it now, my daughter. We'll dismantle it all. Vance approached, tablet in hand. Confirmed, emails traced to Harold's IP, He's fleeing, airport bound. Cops en route. Richard nodded, resolve stealing. Stop him. End this web. Emma wiped her face, hand on her belly. The baby calm now, as if sensing victory. Mama's justice, finally. But Evelyn's words lingered. The deeper rot, Harold's role, threatening more revelations. As they drove away, sirens fading, the truth's weight settled heavily, propelling them toward the ultimate showdown. You think you can bury me, you ungrateful scum? Evelyn's voice snarled through the hidden basement door of Harold's rundown warehouse office, her hand clamping like a vice on Emma's wrist as she dragged her down the concrete steps, the cold metal of a concealed pistol pressing into Emma's side. Emma's breath exploded in a gasp, her free hand instinctively shielding her belly, the baby kicking wildly in protest as pain shot through her arm from the twist. She'd come alone, foolishly, to confront Harold after Vance tips his location, but Evelyn ambushed her at the entrance, eyes wild with cornered rage, shoving her into the dim underground lair where Harold waited, smirking from behind a cluttered desk piled with incriminating files. Let go, Emma hissed, yanking back hard, nails raking Evelyn's skin, drawing blood that dripped hot onto the floor. But Evelyn tightened her grip, slamming Emma against the wall, the impact jarring her spine, forcing a sharp cry from her lips. Shut your mouth, half-breed, Evelyn spat, the slur hitting like a slap, her face inches away, breath foul with desperation. You and that bastard child, ruining everything I built for this family. Harold rose, his lanky frame unfolding like a predator, circling the desk with a chuckle that grated like nails on chalk. Evelyn's right. Richard's weak seed, mixing with trash like your mother. Disgusting. He grabbed Emma's chin, forcing her head up, fingers digging in until she winced, tears of fury stinging her eyes. We had a good thing, skimming his fortune, burying secrets. Clara was easy. You should have stayed gone. Emma's knee shot up, connecting with Harold's groin in a brutal strike, doubling him over with a guttural groan. Touch me again, and I'll end you, she roared, twisting free from Evelyn's grasp. But the pistol whipped across her cheek, splitting skin, blood trickling warm down her face. She staggered, vision blurring, but lunged for the door, only for Evelyn to slam it shut, locking it with a click that echoed like doom. Stupid girl! Evelyn growled, shoving the gun barrel into Emma's back, forcing her to her knees. Sit, or I shoot, right through that belly. Emma complied, breath ragged, hands pressing her abdomen as contractions threatened from the stress. Fear coiling tight in her gut. Harold recovered, straightening with a wheeze, kicking over a chair in rage. Tie her, he ordered, tossing rope from a drawer. Evelyn bound Emma's wrist behind her, knots biting into flesh, each pull a fresh agony. Why? Emma demanded, voice steady despite the tremble, staring Harold down. Jealous of Richard? Stealing from family? Harold laughed, short and bitter, leaning close. Family? He cut me out, took everything after our uncle's will. Evelyn helped me siphon back what's mine. Clara? She sniffed too close, so Evelyn handled her. Poison tea, stage fall? Perfect. He snatched a file from the desk, waving it. And now, with you gone, we leak the affair, crash his stocks, claim the empire. Evelyn pressed the gun harder, metal cold against Emma's temple. Move, and it's over. For you, the kid. Poetic, like your mama. Emma's heart hammered, sweat beating, but she twisted her head, spitting in Evelyn's face. You're done. Richard knows. Police coming. Evelyn wiped the spit, fury exploding in a backhand slap that snapped Emma's head sideways, stars bursting in her vision. Liar! He'll never find us here. But doubt flickered in her eyes, glancing at Harold. Check the cam, see if anyone's tailing. Harold darted to a monitor, fingers flying over keys, but Emma used the distraction, rocking back, slamming her bound hands into Evelyn's knee with all her force. Evelyn buckled with a scream, gun clattering across the floor. Emma rolled, kicking out, foot connecting with Evelyn's jaw in a crack of bone. Run, she thought, scrambling toward the weapon. But Harold dove, grabbing her ankle, yanking her back, his weight pinning her down. Enough, Harold bellowed, fist raised to strike. but Emma headbutted him square in the nose, blood spraying from the crunch. He reeled, clutching his face, roaring in pain. Evelyn recovered, snatching the gun, aiming shakily. "Die, you bitch!" The shot rang out, missing Emma's head by inches, the bullet ricocheting off the wall, sparks flying. Emma surged up, adrenaline fueling her, ramming her shoulder into Evelyn's chest, sending her crashing into shelves, boxes tumbling in a cascade. Harold lunged again, grabbing her hair, pulling hard. "Hold still!" Pain tore through her scalp, but she elbowed his ribs, hearing a snap, his grip loosening. Free for a second, she bolted for the door, pounding on it with bound hands. "Help! Richard!" Outside, sirens wailed faintly. Richard and Vance arriving, tipped by Emma's earlier text. But inside, Harold tackled her from behind, slamming her to the ground, knee on her back. "Quiet!" Evelyn staggered up, gun steady now, finger on the trigger. One more sound and it's over. Emma gasped for air, pressure crushing her lungs, baby protesting with frantic kicks. Fear gripped her, visions of loss flashing, her mother's face, the unborn child's future stolen. But rage burned hotter. She twisted, biting Harold's arm deep, teeth sinking until he howled, rolling off. "You won't win," she panted, scrambling back. Evelyn cocked the gun, eyes mad. "Watch me!" The door rattled, banging from outside. "Emma!" Richard's voice boomed, fists hammering. Harold panicked, grabbing a knife from the desk. "Kill her quick! We flee!" The standoff peaked, Emma's breath shallow, bound and cornered, but her glare defiant. "Come on, try it!" Evelyn's finger tightened, the barrel inches away, as the door buckled under Richard's assault, promising rescue or bloodshed in the next heartbeat. "Break it down, now!" Richard's shoulder slammed into the warehouse basement door again, wood splintering with a crack that echoed through the concrete walls. His fists pounding relentlessly as Vance joined the assault, kicking low to weaken the hinges. Inside, Emma's heart raced, bound wrists burning against the rough rope, her cheek throbbing from Evelyn's slap, blood drying sticky on her skin. The gunshot's echo still rang in her ears. The near-miss bullet lodged in the wall behind her, but she twisted on the floor, eyes locked on the gun in Evelyn's shaking hand. "They're here! You're finished!" Emma spat, voice hoarse but defiant, rolling sideways to dodge Harold's incoming boot, which grazed her side, sending a jolt of pain through her ribs. Evelyn whirled toward the door, gun wavering, sweat pouring down her face as the banging intensified. "Shut up!" she screamed, kicking Emma in the thigh, the impact forcing a grunt from her lips. But Emma bit down hard, refusing to cry out, her belly contracting sharply, fear for the baby spiking like ice in her veins. Harold, nose bleeding from her headbutt, scrambled to the desk, yanking open drawers in panic, papers scattering like confetti. "The files! Burn them!" he yelled, fumbling for a lighter, flames flickering to life as he torched a stack of documents, acrid smoke filling the room. Emma surged forward on her knees, headbutting Harold's leg to knock him off balance, his body crashing into the desk, lighter flying from his grasp. "No!" he roared, but she didn't stop, wriggling toward the gun Evelyn had momentarily lowered in distraction. The door buckled further, a hinge popping loose with a metallic snap. Richard's voice boomed through the crack. "Emma, hold on!" Vance added force, their combined weight finally shattering the lock, the door flying open in a shower of splinters. Richard burst in first, eyes wild, tackling Evelyn in a blur of motion, his hands wrenching the gun from her grip, sending it skidding across the floor. "You touch her again, I'll kill you!" he growled, pinning her arms behind her back, knee on her spine as she thrashed, screaming curses. Vance dove for Harold, fist connecting with his jaw in a solid crack, dropping him to his knees. "Stay down," Vance ordered, cuffing him swiftly with zip ties from his pocket. Emma gasped for air, crawling toward the wall for support, wrists raw and bleeding, but relief flooded her as Richard rushed to her side, knife from his belt slicing the ropes free. "God, Emma, the baby?" His hands trembled, gently touching her belly, face etched with terror. She nodded, wincing. "Kicking strong, but hurts. Everywhere." He helped her up, arm around her waist, steadying her as police sirens wailed closer outside. Vance kicked out the flames on the burning papers, stomping embers, salvaging what he could. A charred folder with half-intact bank statements, emails printed out. Evidence here, transfers to Hale, poison orders. But Harold laughed through bloody lips, struggling against the ties. Too late, copies everywhere. You'll never find them all. Emma's eyes narrowed, adrenaline pushing her forward despite the pain. She shoved past Richard, grabbing Harold by the collar. Where? Tell me. Her voice cracked like a whip, nails digging into his shirt. Harold spat blood. Safe. Airport locker. Flight out in an hour. Good luck. Richard's face hardened. He nodded to Vance. Call backup. Secure them. As officers flooded in, cuffing Evelyn and Harold, dragging them up the stairs with shouts of resistance. Evelyn's, you'll pay! Echoing, Richard turned to Emma. Airport, now! We end this! She clutched his arm, breath steadying. Together! They raced out, Vance driving, tires screeching as they hit the highway toward JFK, sirens clearing the path thanks to a police escort. Emma leaned back, hand on her belly, contractions easing, but fear lingering. What if we miss it? The copies. Leaks everything. Your affair. Mama's murder. The skimming. Richard squeezed her hand, knuckles white. We won't. For Clara. For you. At the airport, chaos reigned. Crowds surging, announcements blaring. But Vance flashed a badge pulled from strings, security parting. Locker 47, International Terminal. They sprinted, Emma ignoring the stares at her bloodied face, pushing through pain with gritted teeth. Richard scanned the rows, spotting it, a nondescript metal door. Key? Vance hacked the lock with a tool, popping it open in seconds. Inside, in a briefcase, locked tight. Emma grabbed it, shaking. Code, think. Evelyn's birth year, 1965. Tried, wrong. Harold's taunt echoed in her mind. Try Clara's death date, 2005-07-15. Richard punched it in, click. Open. Files spilled, full confessions typed, photos of poison vials, wire transfers linking Harold and Evelyn to rivals, even a USB drive labeled Blackmail, Harrington Affair. Emma rifled through, finding a ledger. Millions skimmed over decades. This buries them. And us, if leaked. Vance plugged the USB into his laptop, scanning. Videos, too. Evelyn admitting the murder on hidden cam. Hale's payoff. But a note inside. Insurance. Duplicates with lawyer. Richard's jaw set. Who? Emma spotted a business card. Crooked attorney, address in Queens. There. Go! They bolted back to the car, airport behind them, racing through traffic, Vance weaving dangerously. At the lawyer's office, a sleazy strip mall setup, they burst in, finding the man packing bags, pale as a ghost. Police en route! Hand it over! Richard demanded, grabbing his shirt. The lawyer stammered. Evelyn called, said destroy. But Emma spotted the shredder, half-fed papers. She yanked them out, intact duplicates. Got them! Vance cuffed the lawyer as sirens arrived. Back in the car, evidence bagged, Emma sank against the seat, exhaustion crashing. It's over. All proof. No leaks. Richard hugged her fiercely. You saved us. Brave as hell. But as police took the hall, a final text buzzed on Vance's phone. From forensics. Poison matches Clara's autopsy. Case airtight. Emma touched her belly, tears falling. Justice. For Mama. Richard nodded, eyes misting. And our family. The drive home blurred, evidence secured. But the confrontation's scars pulsed, ready for the final unmasking. Stand down, now! Richard's voice thundered across the crowded boardroom of Harrington Enterprises, his fist slamming the mahogany table, sending pens scattering like fleeing rats as shareholders and executives froze in their leather chairs, eyes wide at the intrusion. The emergency meeting, called under pretenses of a financial update, had packed the room with New York's elite, suits and ties masking their greed. But now chaos erupted as police officers flanked the doors, badges flashing. Emma stood beside him, bruises blooming purple on her cheek from the warehouse fight, her pregnant belly a defiant emblem, hand clutching the briefcase of damning evidence like a weapon. Harold, dragged in cuffs from the airport interception, sneered from the corner where officers held him, while Evelyn, hair disheveled, makeup smeared from her arrest, spat curses under her breath next to him. "You fool," Evelyn hissed, lunging against her restraints, chains rattling as an officer yanked her back. "This is your empire. You'll destroy it, exposing us." Her eyes darted to the board members, pleading silently. But Richard ignored her, striding to the projector, slamming the USB drive into the slot with a click that silenced the murmurs. "Listen up," Richard barked, no preamble, his face a mask of controlled fury as the screen flickered to life, projecting the first file, a scanned ledger of skimmed millions, red arrows highlighting transfers to Evelyn and Harold's accounts. Gasps rippled through the room, one exec whispering, "That's our funds." Richard pointed at Harold. "My cousin, jealous traitor, stole from us all. With her help." The slide flipped. Emails detailing the conspiracy, timestamps glaring. Harold twisted, face flushing red. "Lies, fabricated." But Emma stepped forward, voice cutting sharply. "Fabricated? Like you faked Mama's death?" She opened the briefcase, hurling photos onto the table. Clara's autopsy, bruises circled, poison vial label enlarged. "You poisoned her, covered it as an overdose. For what? To hide his affair? Bury the family shame?" She jabbed a finger at Richard, then herself. "I'm his daughter. Blood test here." Another document slapped down. DNA results, undeniable. The room exploded. Shouts of "Scandal!" and "Resign!" as board members shoved back chairs, one grabbing his phone. Evelyn laughed maniacally, straining forward. "Yes, expose him. A weak man bedded a black maid, abandoned her, ruined lineage." But Richard whirled on her, eyes blazing. "Weak? I was. Prejudiced coward. But no more." He clicked the remote. Video playback. Evelyn's confession in the motel. Her voice clear. "I slipped the pills. Ended it." Hale's taped admission followed. "She paid me to forge." Shareholders recoiled. A woman gasping. "Murder?" Harold roared. "Stop this, I'll sue." But Vance from the door tossed in the shredded duplicates recovered from the lawyer's office. "Sue with what? We have it all. You're safe. The airport locker, everything." Emma snatched a final page, the note from the briefcase. "Insurance against Richard." She read aloud, voice steady. "Leak the affair if he finds out." "But you failed." Evelyn's composure shattered. She slumped, sobbing. "I protected the name. From her kind. Mixing blood." The slur hung, igniting outrage. A black board member stood, fist clenched. "Enough. Call the vote. Expel them." Richard nodded, turning to the room. "Vote now. Dissolve their shares, full audit. And me, I step down if needed. But justice first." Harold broke, thrashing. "No, you can't. I deserve it. Uncle promised." Officers dragged him, but he kicked, toppling a chair. Evelyn joined the frenzy, biting an arm, drawing blood before being subdued with a taser zap, body jerking. "You'll regret," she wheezed. But Emma raised the ledger high. "Regret? This proves embezzlement. Millions back to the company. And for Mama, murder charges." Prosecutors in the back nodded, filing forward with warrants. Flashbulbs popped. Press tipped off, cameras capturing the fall. Richard faced Emma, voice low amid the din. "You did this, strong as Clara." She touched his hand, tears welling. "We did. Family." The board voted unanimously. Expulsion, arrest formalized. As Evelyn and Harold were hauled out, screaming denials, a twist hit. Vance's phone buzzed. Forensics match on the poison, plus a hidden audio from Harold's office. "Kill the daughter like the mother." The room hushed, the lat KO complete. Not just exposure, but ironclad conviction. Richard addressed the stunned crowd. "Rebuild clean. No prejudice. Funds for community, like Emma's center." Applause erupted, tentative, then thunderous. Emma clutched her belly, a contraction hitting hard from stress. But she stood tall, whispering to Richard, "It's done." He nodded, arm around her as they exited, scars fading into triumph. The empire's rot excised, paving way for renewal. Guilty, life without parole. The judge's gavel cracked down like a thunderclap, sealing Evelyn's fate as she lunged against her chains in the packed courtroom, her scream ripping through the air. "You can't! I protected him!" Officers yanked her back, muscles straining, her face contorted in rage, spittle flying as she twisted toward Richard and Emma in the front row. Emma's hand clamped on Richard's arm, nails digging in, her breath shallow but steady, the bruises from the warehouse fading to yellow shadows on her skin. The verdict hit hard. Justice for Clara, for the poison, the cover-up, but Evelyn's eyes locked on Emma, venom pure. "Your mother's whore blood ruins everything." Richard shot up, voice booming. "Enough! You murdered her! Admit it here!" The courtroom hushed, bailiffs tensing, but Evelyn laughed, short and bitter, chains rattling. "Murder? Salvation! Clara begged for help. I gave her peace, pills and tea, her fight over quick." Gasps erupted from the gallery, reporters scribbling furiously, but the judge hammered again. "Silence!" defendant remanded. Harold, next in the dock, slumped as his turn came, sweat soaking his collar. Guilty on all counts: embezzlement, conspiracy, accessory to murder, 20 years. He collapsed forward, head in hands, sobbing. "Richard, cousin, mercy!" But Richard stared coldly, no flinch. "Mercy? You plotted my fall, killed for greed." Harold's pleas cut off as guards hauled him away, feet dragging, a broken whine escaping his lips. Emma rose then, approaching the bench, voice clear despite the tremor in her chest. "Your Honor, Clara Johnson's name cleared. No suicide, murder." The judge nodded, signing off with a flourish. "Record amended, justice done." Outside, the press swarmed, cameras flashing, questions firing like bullets. "Miss Harrington, how's the baby?" Emma touched her belly, kicks answering strongly. "Safe, thanks to truth." Richard shielded her, arm firm. "No comment, except this. Rot excised." They pushed through, Evelyn's final glare from the transport van burning into them, her scream muffled as doors slammed. "You'll pay, blood for blood." But the van roared away, tires screeching, leaving dust and closure. Back home in the mansion now stripped of secrets, Richard paced the study, files from the trial scattered. "It's over! Empire intact! Thieves caged!" Emma sank into a chair, exhaustion pulling at her limbs, but triumph glowed in her eyes. "Not over. Mama's grave. We visit." They drove silently, arriving at the cemetery, Richard kneeling first, fingers tracing Clara's name on the stone. "Forgive me, abandoned you." Tears streaked his face, shoulders shaking. Emma joined, hand on his back. "She does, through me." As they left, a call buzzed. "Prosecutor. Hale flipped. Full confession. More charges stick." Richard's fist clenched in victory. "Good." Emma smiled faintly, the weight lifting, but scars pulsed, reminders of fights won. Justice tasted sweet, but the path to healing stretched ahead, pulling them forward. "Sign it. Now." Richard's pen slashed across the document, ink flowing like blood from a fresh wound as he thrust the papers toward his lawyers in the sunlit conference room of Harrington Enterprises, his voice a command that brooked no delay. The board members shifted in their seats, ties loosening under the weight of the moment, eyes darting to the figures, millions redirected, policies rewritten. Emma stood at his side, hand on her swelling belly. The baby's kicks a rhythmic affirmation as she nodded sharply. "Do it. For the community. For every woman like Mama." Her bruises from the trial still ached, but her stance held firm, a pillar forged in fire. Richard's lawyers hesitated, one clearing his throat. "Sir, this diverts half your fortune. Qui for single mothers, job training in Brooklyn. Radical." Richard slammed his fist down, the table vibrating. "Radical? I built this on lies, prejudice, abandonment. Clara died because of it. Change or leave." The man signed fast, hands trembling. The document sealing the Clara Johnson Foundation. scholarships for Black women, housing for pregnant singles, and anti-discrimination training mandatory in every Harrington office. Emma grabbed the next stack, flipping pages with fierce swipes. Add this, partnership with my center, expand it, daycare, legal aid against abusers like you were. Richard met her eyes, guilt flashing, but he nodded, adding clauses in bold strokes. Done. And company-wide, diversity hires double, no tolerance for bias. Fire anyone who slips. Murmurs rose from the board, one exec protesting. Costs, shareholders revolt. Richard whirled on him. Revolt? Let them. I revolt against my past. Cold, blind to suffering. He shoved the man out, the door slamming, turning back to Emma. Your lead, tell me how. She paced, energy surging despite fatigue, fingers jabbing air. Start local, Brooklyn rally next week. Announce the fund publicly. Invite the press, the moms I helped. Show faces, not just checks. Richard dialed his PR team instantly, voice barking orders. Rally, big, speakers, Emma, survivors, bill me. The team scrambled, phones buzzing, as Emma sketched plans on a notepad. Lines sharp. And global, policy shifts. Your real estate, affordable units for low-income families, priority to minorities. Richard agreed, calling architects, blueprints unrolling across the table in minutes. Days blurred into action. Richard at construction sites, sleeves rolled, hammering nails beside workers he'd once ignored, sweat mixing with theirs. Faster, homes for them now, he growled at foreman, who nodded hasty, tools flying. Emma directed from the center, now expanded with his cash. New rooms buzzing with classes, her voice commanding. Teach them resumes, fight back. Women nodded, eyes lighting as she demonstrated, fist pumping. One hugged her tight. You changed my life. Emma squeezed back. He changes too. Watch. Richard faced backlash, old partners calling, furious. You're soft. Mixing with them ruins us. He hung up mid-rant, blocking numbers, then stormed into a shareholders call. Profit over people? No more. New ethic, equity. Stocks dipped, but he bought back shares himself, wallet bleeding, but resolve iron. Worth it, for her. Emma overheard, touching his shoulder. For us. The rally hit like a storm. Crowds packing the park, signs waving. Justice for Clara! Richard took the stage first, microphone gripped tight. I failed. Abandon love. Let prejudice kill. But today, foundation launches. Millions for you. Jobs, homes, hope. Cheers erupted, but skeptics booed. Liar. Rich talk. Emma stepped up, silencing them with a raised hand. He was, but actions prove. I, his daughter, forgive. Join us. Build. Applause thundered, donations pouring in, the fund swelling overnight. Nights Richard knelt by Clara's photo in his study, whispering amends. Your strength, in her, I honor it. Emma joined, hand in his. Expand further, scholarships nationwide. He wired funds instantly, universities calling grateful. Thousands helped, but pain lingered. Contractions from stress, doctors' warnings. Rest, she refused. Heal by doing. A month later, the first groundbreaking, an affordable complex rising in Brooklyn named Clara Towers. Richard shoveled dirt, crowd watching, Emma beside him, spade in hand. For single moms, haven. Residents cheered, tears flowing. One woman gripped Emma's arm. My kid, future now. Emma hugged her fiercely. Ours too. Richard's company transformed. Diversity boards formed, bias trainings packed, firing swift for offenders. Clean house, he ordered, execs quaking. Stocks rebounded, investors praising ethical pivot. He visited the center daily, teaching finance classes himself, voice gruff but earnest. Learn, take control. Students nodded, inspired. Emma's belly grew, but so did hope. Foundation events multiplying, galas raising more, partnerships with nonprofits. Scale up, she pushed. Richard complied, jetting to D.C., lobbying for policies, maternal leave extensions, anti-discrimination laws. Push through, he demanded of senators, bills passing under his pressure. In quiet moments, Richard held Emma's hand at ultrasounds, tears welling at the heartbeat. My chance. Right wrongs. She squeezed back. You're doing it. The actions snowballed, hope radiating, communities lifting, his redemption etched in lives changed. But the full circle awaited, family bonds tightening, ready for the final embrace. Push! Now! The doctor's voice sliced through the delivery room chaos, Emma's grip crushing Richard's hand as she bore down. Sweat streaming down her face, breath exploding in ragged bursts, the pain ripping through her like fire, but fueling her roar. Come on, baby, out! Her muscles tensed, veins bulging, as monitors beeped frantically, nurses swarming with towels and tools. Richard wiped her brow, voice steady despite the tremor. You're strong, like Clara, almost there. Emma locked eyes with him, teeth gritted. For us, all of us. One final shove, and the cry pierced the air, sharp, vital. The newborn girl wriggling free, tiny fists waving in protest. Nurses wrapped her quickly, placing the bundle in Emma's arms, her chest heaving as tears flooded, mixing with sweat. She's here, perfect. The baby latched on instinctively, suckling fiercely, Emma's fingers tracing the soft curls, skin a warm blend of heritage. Richard leaned in, hand trembling as he touched the child's cheek. My granddaughter, our future. He choked up, tears breaking free, shoulders shaking in release, the weight of decades crumbling in that touch. The mansion transformed, once a cold fortress, now alive with warmth. Baby's laughter echoing halls where secrets once hid. Richard cradled the infant, rocking her in Clara's old rocker he'd salvaged, voice low in a lullaby. Sleep, little one. World's yours clean. Emma watched from the door, smiling softly, her body healing from the birth's battle. Name her Clara, honor Mama. Richard nodded, eyes misting. Clara Harrington, strong as you both. Subplots unraveled clean. Maria, the loyal maid, promoted to house manager, beaming as she organized family dinners, her kids playing with the baby. No more shadows here. The community center thrived. Expanded wings named after trial heroes, classes packed, women rising. Lena, Emma's neighbor, now director, hugged her tight at events. You built this, from pain to power. Even Vance, the PI, dropped by, badge retired, offering security tips. Case closed. Happy for you. Richard's empire flourished ethically, stocks soaring on clean pivot, board diverse, policies ironclad against bias. He mentored young execs, black, poor, ambitious, his voice gruff. Learn from my falls, rise fair. One mentee gripped his hand. You changed. Gave me a shot. Richard clapped his back. Pay forward. Evenings brought family rituals. Richard pushing the stroller through Brooklyn streets, heads turning at the tycoon, turned grandpa. Emma beside him, arm linked. See that? Your fun built those homes. Kids waved from Clara Towers, faces bright. Thanks, Mr. H. He waved back, chest swelling. No, thank her. Emma laughed, light and free. Us. Trial's scars faded. Evelyn's letters from prison arrived. Rants ignored, burned in the fireplace, ashes scattering. No more poison. Harold's appeals were denied, his greed caged forever. Subtle nods to the past. A photo wall in the study. Clara smiling center surrounded by Emma's childhood snaps, Richard's youth, and now the baby's first smile. Full circle, Richard murmured, finger tracing frames. The morale crystallized at a foundation gala. Crowd glittering, but real heroes front. Single moms in gowns, kids in ties. Richard took the mic, voice booming. Prejudice blinds, destroys lives, families. I lived it. Abandoned love for status, let hate fester. Result? Murder, betrayal, loss. He paused, eyes on Emma holding the baby. But truth breaks chains. Hoi Han fuels change. Action redeems. Don't judge skin, status. See strength. Build bridges, not walls. For Clara, for all, choose compassion. Emma joined him, baby cooing in her arms. Lesson, Resilience wins. I endured accusations, threats, birth alone in spirit, but family forged anew. Forgive, but demand better. Hope lies in unity, Cap, race. None divide when hearts align. Applause thundered, tears flowing, donors pledging more. Final scene sealed it. Picnic in the park, Richard spreading blanket, Emma unpacking food, baby Clara giggling at butterflies. Former staff joined, Maria's family, center moms, and even a reform board member. Laughter rang, stories shared. Remember the accusation? Emma teased Richard. He winced, then grinned. Worst day, best lesson. He lifted Clara high, her squeal delighting all. To new beginnings, clean, united. As the sun set, Richard pulled Emma close. Thank you for breaking me open. She kissed his cheek. Thank you for healing. The group linked hands, a circle unbroken, future bright in Clara's eyes. Subplots tied, debts paid, communities lifted, prejudices shattered. Moral echoed silently. Blind trust poisons. Open eyes save. Family, blood or chosen, endures through truth, action, love. The end faded on their smiles. Legacy blooming eternal. In the end, this story reminds us that prejudice and unchecked power can shatter lives and families. But true redemption comes through facing our mistakes, embracing truth, and choosing compassion over division, proving that it's never too late to heal and build a better legacy. What do you think? Share your thoughts, experiences, or similar stories in the comments below. Your voice could inspire someone else. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay kind out there.